Yin, the daughter of a famous electronics company owner in Korea, walked confidently into the ballroom hotel. As her parents had requested, she attended the corporate party hosted by one of her father's business partners. Yin had been living alone in her apartment since starting university. Just a week ago, she graduated with a bachelor's degree in economics. She walked gracefully towards her parents, who had arrived earlier. They hadn't come together. The whispers around her didn't affect her. She was used to being the center of attention, even since her high school days. Her eyes lit up with delight at the sight of the abundant food. Yin greeted several acquaintances, occasionally smiling politely to avoid embarrassing her parents. Dad, Mom. Erin, Yin's mother, turned around, beaming as she saw her daughter arrive. "Ah, sweetie, you finally made it," Erin said, giving Yin a quick hug. "Why did you take so long? The event has already started," she protested, frowning. Yin chuckled. Her mother was always expressive. "Sorry, Mom, I overslept," Yin replied. "You're hopeless." Yin winced when her mother lightly pinched her arm. "Are you alright? Is there any problem?" Yin's eyes shifted to her first love, her father, Gi-hoon. Even nearing 50, he remained handsome and dignified. He was a calm and authoritative figure, allowing Yin to do as she pleased, but always under his supervision. Gi-hoon was the ideal father, and Yin felt very lucky to have him. "I'm perfectly fine, Dad. No problems at all," Yin replied, clinging sweetly to her father's arm. Gi-hoon chuckled and affectionately patted her head. Beside him, Erin pouted. Yin was a serious rival for Gi-hoon's attention. At times like this, Erin could only sigh. "Go find yourself a boyfriend," she muttered. "You're always clinging to your dad." Yin stuck out her tongue playfully. She loved teasing her mother. Gi-hoon shook his head in amusement. His wife was adorable. "Find a boyfriend who truly loves you. Not like the last one," Gi-hoon teased. Yin's face fell into a pout. Gi-hoon was referring to her horrible ex-boyfriend. "Yes, Dad, I know," Yin grumbled. "Stop reminding me." Gi-hoon and Erin laughed at their daughter's antics. In the middle of the crowd, Yin's eyes wandered. Suddenly, her gaze locked onto a man who had just entered the ballroom. He walked with firm, confident steps. His handsome face, sharp eyes, and defined features left Yin utterly captivated. She couldn't look away. She was sure every girl in the ballroom was just as mesmerized. Then, their eyes met. His gaze was unreadable as he smirked slightly at her. "What is this feeling?" Yin swallowed hard. Even as the man walked towards two adults, presumably his parents, Yin couldn't tear her gaze away. "That's Jungkook, the only son of Mr. Minho, one of my business partners." Her father's voice snapped her back to reality. Yin blinked and turned to look at Gi-hoon, who was now smiling teasingly at her. So annoying. Her face flushed uncontrollably in embarrassment at being caught staring. Gi-hoon chuckled. He knew his daughter well. Jungkook certainly fits the image of a potential boyfriend for Yin. "Darling, looks like our daughter is falling in love," he teased. "Falling in love with who?" Erin asked, confused. She hadn't been paying attention. Yin widened her eyes at her father in warning. He better not say more, or her mother would create a huge fuss. After all, this was just a first meeting. How could she fall in love already? Gi-hoon merely chuckled and didn't answer his wife's question. Instead, he whistled lightly. "Looks like they're coming over," he said, raising an eyebrow. Yin's heart suddenly pounded wildly. She became inexplicably nervous as she saw Jungkook and his parents approaching. Her hand gripped her dress tightly. "Mr. Gi-hoon." "Mr. Minho, a pleasure seeing you here," Gi-hoon responded warmly as they shook hands, as did their wives, Erin and Lily. Meanwhile, Jungkook and Yin just stared at each other. No smile, no polite greeting. "Wow, is this your daughter?" Lily said, gazing at Yin with admiration. "She's absolutely beautiful," she praised. "What's your name, dear?" Mr. Minho asked, also intrigued by the young lady standing beside Erin. They had known Gi-hoon and Erin had a daughter, but had never met her before. Yin cleared her throat, offering her hand confidently with a sweet smile. "Park Yin, sir," she replied. "It's a pleasure to meet you." Being the daughter of a businessman taught Yin how to introduce herself properly. Erin would certainly scold her if she showed even a hint of disrespect to Gi-hoon's colleagues. While the parents got caught up in business talk, Yin and Jungkook remained silent, merely exchanging glances. Despite admiring him, or maybe even already liking him at first sight, Yin refused to show it. She had pride and self-respect to maintain, especially during a first meeting. "You're Jungkook?" Yin asked. Jungkook smirked. "Turns out you know me." Yin huffed. Besides being handsome, he was also annoying. "Yeah, my dad told me about you earlier." "I didn't know you had already done your research about me," Jungkook teased with a slight smirk. Yin turned her head away, pretending to be disgusted. You're so full of yourself. Of course, Jungkook replied without hesitation. I need confidence to achieve everything I want, he added smoothly. Jungkook continued to observe Yin closely, making her feel uneasy. You're very young, he murmured. How old are you? He asked directly. Yin glared at him. How dare he ask a woman's age? None of your business, she snapped. Jungkook chuckled softly, clearly entertained by how quickly Yin's expressions changed. You just graduated. He guessed correctly. Well, that's acceptable, he muttered vaguely. Yin frowned in confusion. What was he implying? She decided she didn't want to prolong the conversation with Jungkook any further. Her heart needed saving. Yin stared up at the ceiling of her room. Ever since her first encounter with Jungkook that night, she hadn't been able to stop thinking about him. From time to time, she would smile, then chuckle to herself. Though their interaction was brief, Yin had intentionally acted cold to hide how curious she was about him. Jungkook was incredibly handsome. He was mysterious. His broad chest must be really comfortable to lean on, Yin mumbled. Even though it was already daytime, she was still tangled up in her blanket. Yin was currently unemployed. She was still too lazy to start working at her father's company. After all, she had just graduated and had been stressed for months finishing her thesis. She deserved a break for at least 1 or 2 months. Her parents didn't mind either. Jungkook's voice is so sexy, Yin giggled happily. It was raspy, deep, and low. That voice kept replaying in her mind. And his lips. Yin's eyes grew dreamy. She bit her lower lip in frustration. I can't even imagine what it would feel like when those lips kiss mine. Yin must be going crazy. She suddenly sat up straight. A wild idea flashed through her mind. She couldn't just sit still. Jungkook had been haunting her days lately. Still with her hair in a mess, Yin stood in front of the mirror. I am beautiful, she declared, perfect to be Jungkook's girlfriend. She giggled even harder. Yin gathered her hair up, exposing her long, slender, fair neck. All right, Yin, it's time to carry out your plan. Jungkook must be yours. Call her crazy, but Yin had become obsessed with Jungkook, so much so that she couldn't stand the idea of just waiting around for whenever fate might bring them together again. The way her heart raced when she saw him was no joke. She had never felt this way before, not even with her ex-boyfriend. Yin sat in front of her laptop and started searching for every piece of information about Jungkook she could find on social media anywhere. She had to know everything about him. She even planned to pay someone to find out Jungkook's work schedule so she could follow him wherever he went. Wait for me, Jungkook. You will be Yin's prince. There's a meeting with a client and our boss. Jungkook nodded without taking his eyes off the screen in front of him. Where? At an Italian restaurant, boss, answered Kai, his secretary. Change it. Jungkook suddenly ordered. I don't want it at the Italian restaurant. Why, boss? Kai immediately shut his mouth. Jungkook shot him a sharp look. Jungkook didn't like being questioned when he gave an order. It meant he was to be obeyed, no questions asked. Understood, boss. I'll change the location. Kai quickly corrected himself. At a Japanese restaurant, Jungkook added suddenly. Kai frowned deeply. As far as he knew, his boss wasn't particularly fond of Japanese food. Kai wanted to ask why, but decided against it. He valued his life. Understood, boss. I'll contact the client right away, he said, then hurried off. Even though he found Jungkook's sudden request strange, all he could do was comply. Jungkook smirked, his sharp gaze returning to his laptop screen. For the past week, Yin had been secretly following Jungkook. Thanks to the person she had paid, she now knew Jungkook's work schedule. Yin didn't care if people called her a stalker. The truth was, she really was Jungkook's stalker. Her phone gallery was now full of Jungkook's photos. Yin smiled in satisfaction. He's so handsome from every angle, she thought, admiring the photos she had taken. She was quite proud of herself for managing to hide from those sharp eyes of his until now. And today, Yin was even more excited because Jungkook was meeting a client at a Japanese restaurant, her favorite kind of restaurant. She took a seat far enough from Jungkook's table to avoid being noticed. Her long hair was tied up under a cap she was still wearing. From her spot, Yin could clearly see Jungkook's side profile. There was Kai, Jungkook's secretary, sitting on Jungkook's right side. Across from them sat 2 other people, a man and a woman. Yin pouted as she saw the woman looking at Jungkook with adoration. How dare she? Yin grumbled. She then grinned when she noticed Jungkook didn't respond to the woman's attempts to engage him. He was only focused on the man across from him. Good. You should ignore every woman, Jungkook. Except me. Yin chuckled softly. She then pulled out her phone, ready to add even more pictures to her growing collection. Yin had just received information from her hired informant that Jungkook was at a nightclub tonight. Without thinking twice, after quickly changing into a more suitable outfit, Yin sped off toward the club. Living alone in her apartment gave her more freedom. She didn't have to deal with her parents' endless questions that often gave her a headache. Loud music and crowds of people dancing greeted her as she arrived. Yin squinted when she spotted Jungkook sitting alone on one of the tall chairs by the bar. "Looks like he came here alone," she muttered. Yin pulled something out of her jacket pocket. She smirked, then headed toward the back. With her charms and a little money, she managed to persuade one of the servers to deliver a drink laced with sleeping pills to Jungkook. "Give it to the handsome man sitting over there. Make sure he drinks it." "Yes, miss," the server replied. Yin smiled in satisfaction as she watched the server approach Jungkook with the drink. "Sir, here's a complimentary drink for you." Jungkook glanced at the server. His sharp gaze and blank expression made the server gulp nervously. "I didn't order this," Jungkook said flatly. "This is a gift from our club as a thank you for being a loyal customer," the server explained. Jungkook raised one eyebrow, clearly suspicious. In all the times he had visited this club, he had never once been offered a complimentary drink. But suddenly, his lips curled into a slight smirk. He accepted the drink. "Thanks," he said. The server nodded and quickly left. Jungkook stared at the drink for a moment, his lips still curved into that slight smirk. Then he downed it in one go and soon after headed toward the restroom. Yin quietly followed him and waited outside the restroom for several minutes. Yin frowned as Jungkook still hadn't come out even after nearly 15 minutes. Finally, cautiously, she decided to go inside. Fortunately, the restroom was empty at the moment, so no one noticed her suspicious behavior. Her face instantly lit up with a wide smile when she saw Jungkook slumped in front of the sink with his eyes closed. "Success," Yin squealed happily. With strength she didn't even know she had, her small body managed to support Jungkook's larger frame, now half unconscious. Although his eyes were closed, he didn't seem completely asleep yet. But for Yin, it was good enough. The important thing was that Jungkook was starting to lose consciousness. Through the back door, Yin quickly led him to her car. Yin placed Jungkook in the back seat and fastened his seatbelt. He was already fast asleep. The sleeping pill had done its job. Unable to resist, Yin gently stroked Jungkook's strong jawline, smiling in satisfaction. "Very soon, you'll be mine, Jungkook," she whispered with a wide grin. Yin brought Jungkook to an abandoned warehouse not far from her apartment. She wasn't afraid at all, even as she dragged him into the dark, musty, and dusty place. Her obsession with owning Jungkook far outweighed any fear she might have had. She had already prepared everything: a chair, a portable light, and handcuffs to bind Jungkook's hands. Squatting down, Yin gazed at him adoringly. Jungkook now sat slumped against the chair, his body bound and powerless. "You look handsome no matter what state you're in," she whispered, running her hand along his firm arm. "Your body's incredible. You must work out a lot, huh?" She chuckled to herself, starting to ramble with excitement. "You're so mesmerizing. I could go insane if I can't have you," she confessed. Her obsession had completely blinded her. She didn't even care if Jungkook woke up and raged at her. She glanced at her watch. The sleeping pill should last about 4 hours, meaning he wouldn't wake up until morning. Or so she thought. A low chuckle made Yin's head snap up. Her heart froze when she saw Jungkook's eyes open, his gaze sharp and intense. Wait, how? Wasn't he supposed to still be under the influence? He shouldn't be awake yet. Panic flooded her mind as she stared in shock, especially when Jungkook smirked wickedly. "Hello, Yin," Jungkook drawled. Yin's face turned pale. "You?" she stammered. "Surprised to see me awake?" he asked, his laugh low and menacing. Still frozen, Yin stared at him in disbelief. "How?" she whispered. "I figured you out," Jungkook said casually, locking eyes with her. "I knew what you slipped into my drink." Turns out, Jungkook had been aware all along that Yin had been stalking him. He had also noticed the traces of white powder on the rim of his glass. Instead of drinking it, he had discreetly spat it out in the restroom. "Now untie me," he said, voice sharp. "This is very uncomfortable." Realizing there was no way out, Yin lifted her chin stubbornly. There was no use pretending anymore. She had been caught red-handed, so she said boldly, "I'll untie you on one condition." "What?" Jungkook said, intrigued. "You have to be my boyfriend," she declared, full of confidence. Jungkook couldn't help but be impressed, secretly admiring her guts. "Are you blackmailing me, Yin?" he asked with a raised eyebrow. "Yes, you don't like it?" Jungkook chuckled lightly. "You're truly something else," he said, though it was hard to tell if he was praising or teasing her. "I could report you to your parents, you know. This counts as kidnapping." Yin scowled, irritated by how nonchalant he was being. "I don't care. All I want is for you to be mine." "Wow, that's called coercion, baby," he teased, further provoking her. Frustrated, Yin clenched her fists and crossed her arms over her chest, glaring. "Fine," she said sharply. "If you refuse, I'm not letting you go." Amused, Jungkook laughed openly. He found her childish behavior oddly endearing, but since it was Yin, he didn't mind. "I'll give you my answer if you get me out of this dirty old building and take me to my apartment," he bargained. "I don't want to," Yin pouted. "Oh really? Well, too bad, you have to," Jungkook said firmly. The two stared at each other, tension thick in the air. Finally, Jungkook smiled in exasperation. "Take me to my apartment now," he said, locking eyes with her. "This place is filthy. I don't want a beautiful girl like you hanging around here." Hearing Jungkook call her beautiful made Yin's heart pound wildly. For some reason, his gaze completely melted her defenses. "Fine, I'll take you," she finally agreed. It seemed that her love for Jungkook truly outweighed everything else. After a few minutes of driving, they finally arrived in front of Jungkook's apartment unit. Throughout the trip, Jungkook's hands were still cuffed. To avoid drawing attention from the people they passed by, Yin quickly removed her jacket and used it to cover Jungkook's hands. Once they reached the door, Jungkook casually turned to Yin. "Enter the password. It's your birthday," he instructed nonchalantly. Startled, Yin quickly turned to look at Jungkook with questioning eyes. However, the man only smirked slightly, as if deliberately leaving her in confusion. Still feeling doubtful, Yin typed in her birthday, and sure enough, the door immediately unlocked. "Come in," Jungkook said, inviting her inside without offering any further explanation. With her heart pounding, Yin stepped into Jungkook's apartment. The atmosphere inside felt warm and masculine, just like its owner. The familiar scent of Jungkook's cologne filled the air, making Yin's heart race even faster. As soon as the door closed behind them, Jungkook turned to look at Yin with a meaningful gaze. "Now, can you please remove these cuffs?" he said while slightly raising his hands, which were still hidden under Yin's jacket. Yin quickly nodded. She carefully unlocked the cuffs one by one, but before she could pull away, Jungkook swiftly grabbed her wrist, holding her in place. "So," Jungkook murmured in a low voice that made Yin freeze on the spot, "you really went this far just to make me your boyfriend?" Yin's face turned red. She felt extremely embarrassed, but it was too late to back down now. I'm serious," Yin finally said, her voice small but firm. Jungkook suppressed a chuckle. Where did all that boldness Yin had earlier disappear to now? "Why is your door password my birthday?" Yin finally asked, unable to hold back her curiosity any longer. Instead of answering, Jungkook's smirk only grew wider. "Can't you just answer me? What's the meaning behind it?" Yin pressed impatiently. Jungkook finally let out a slow sigh. He looked at Yin deeply. "I want to show you something. Come with me," he said, already walking away, leaving Yin standing there. With no choice, Yin quickly followed him. Jungkook led Yin into his bedroom, making her even more confused. She couldn't see anything yet since the bedroom lights were still off. However, not long after, Jungkook walked over to the light switch, and when the lights finally turned on, once again, Yin was stunned by what she saw. Her eyes widened, and she instinctively covered her mouth, trying to hold back her shock. Inside Jungkook's spacious bedroom, dozens of photos of herself were neatly displayed. The photos were printed in the best quality and arranged beautifully, filling up one entire wall. Warm lighting surrounded the display, making each photo look even more vivid and meaningful. Slowly, Yin stepped closer to the wall, as if she couldn't believe what she was seeing. "These, all of them," Yin whispered almost inaudibly, her voice trembling. Behind her, Jungkook leaned casually against the bedroom door, watching her reactions with a small smile on his face. "How could you?" Yin couldn't even finish her sentence. "Of course I could," Jungkook replied indifferently. Yin stared at him in disbelief. There were photos of her riding in a car, smiling, eating at a cafe, jogging, buying drinks at a park, and many more. Her eyes widened even more when she noticed pictures of herself sleeping in her apartment. Not just one, but many with different pajamas, which meant that Jungkook had been secretly taking her pictures, even inside her apartment, even entering her bedroom late at night. "I visit your apartment every night," Jungkook said casually, as if reading Yin's confused mind. Yin turned to look at Jungkook, who was now smirking. "I even kiss your lips every night." "You didn't notice, did you?" he added, his lips still curled into a smirk. "I didn't expect such a beautiful girl like you to sleep like a corpse," he chuckled. But wait, how did you even get into my apartment? She asked, still in shock. Jungkook laughed, crossing his arms. I know everything about you, he said as he walked closer, stopping right in front of Yin. Even your apartment password, he added with a smirk. You made it my birthday, didn't you? At that moment, Yin could only stand frozen. The man in front of her was truly insane. He knew everything. Jungkook smiled even wider. Ever since the night we met at the company party, it wasn't just you who went crazy over me. I've been even crazier about you, baby. And I'm glad. He leaned closer, lowering his voice. Now we feel the same way. Yin remained frozen in place, her mind still struggling to process all of Jungkook's crazy confessions. Her eyes looked at the man with a mixture of shock, confusion, and disbelief. Everything felt too fast, too intense to handle in just one night. However, before Yin could say anything, Jungkook gently lifted her chin, forcing her to look into his deep, dark eyes. In an instant, Jungkook lowered his head and brushed his lips against Yin's in a kiss that was full of passion yet still tender. Yin's eyes widened, her heart seeming to stop beating for a moment. But after a few seconds, her body softened, as if surrendering to all the feelings she had been holding back for so long. The kiss didn't last long, but it was enough to make Yin lose her senses. When Jungkook finally pulled away, he stared at Yin with a dangerous gaze, filled with desire and something that words could not fully describe. Tonight, he whispered lowly near Yin's ear, making her shiver. You're not going home, baby. He gently caressed Yin's cheek with his thumb, treating her as if she were the most precious thing he had ever owned. We're going to have fun until morning, just you and me, with no one else around. The small smile tugging at the corner of Jungkook's lips made Yin even more nervous, though part of her heart pounded with excitement. Without giving her any chance to refuse or even think, Jungkook grabbed her waist. That night, the walls of Jungkook's apartment bore witness to a long, unforgettable night, a night when two people obsessed with each other finally tore down every barrier between them.